Welcome to every team's best and worst moment from 2020. I'm Brandon Perna, and I am here to help you remember the thing that made you proud to be a football fan, and the thing that made you wish you'd never been born. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals. This one is pretty easy, and according to ESPN, this was the greatest sports moment of 2020. That's right. Tricking Bill O'Brien into sending them DeAndre Hopkins for a second. Okay, it's close enough. It is the Hail Murray, which couldn't have happened without that trade. Their worst moment? Blowing a late season divisional game against the extremely undermanned 49ers roster. You had CJ Beathard at home with the playoffs on the line, and you blew it, Cards. Speaking of blowing it, the Atlanta Falcons. Best, Todd Gurley accidentally scoring a touchdown. You're so good, you score when you don't even try and still lose. Or maybe it's these mock-ups of Adam Gase and Bill O'Brien as your head coach. It could always be worse, Atlanta. Worst? How can you pick just one for the Falcons? They had to fire Dan Quinn mid-season. Every loss they've had feels like a huge collapse, but the worst of all was their Week 2 loss to the Dallas Cowboys, where they blew a major lead and played keep away from an onside watermelon kick. Shame on you, Atlanta, for making us possibly have to watch a Cowboys playoff game. You did this. Honorable mention? These uniforms for a worst. Best. This episode being sponsored by Magic Spoon. No, that's not what David Copperfield or Chris Angel used to eat soup with. It's a healthy and delicious cereal that has 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs. It's keto-friendly, grain-free, soy-free, and GMO-free, and with my promo code THATSGOOD and link below, it's practically free. Look, I kicked cereal 2 years ago because of all the sugar, but Magic Spoon let me reintroduce cereal to my belly with flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, blueberry, and brand new flavors, peanut butter, and cinnamon. Magic Spoon has released a new option to build your very own custom variety box so you can mix and match whichever flavors you like. I recommend my patent peanut butter and chocolate mix, or just straight cinnamon, since this is me on the cover of the box riding a dinosaur. Magic Spoon guarantees their cereal, so if you don't like it, they refund your money. Click the link below, use code THATSGOOD to save $5 off your order. MagicSpoon.com. Baltimore Ravens, best. Lamar Jackson dropping off the Browns at the Super Bowl just before beating them on the field. This was the game of the year, and it ends on a Justin Tucker laser rocket kick from 50 plus to win it. Worst? Getting absolutely torched by Derrick Henry and the Titans in the AFC divisional round, and then losing to them again in overtime this season behind a walk-off Derrick Henry touchdown. Henry basically stiff-armed Earl Thomas onto waivers, where he has remained ever since. Buffalo Bills, best? Clinching the AFC East for the first time since '95 and being greeted by Bills Mafia at the airport. Also best, Josh Allen silencing all the critics who drug him through the mud. Best, trading for Stephon Diggs. Best, John Falacio cradling Cole Beasley like the tiny baby he is in the end zone for a celebration. So many Bills bests. Worst? Blowing a 16-point lead in the wild card game against Bill O'Brien last January, which was punctuated by Josh Allen trying to lateral the ball to an offensive lineman. Panthers, best? Hiring Matt Rule, who despite losing 10 games this year, have only lost 2 games by more than 1 score. It feels like their running back might have made a difference in some of those games. Which worst? Christian McCaffrey guaranteeing he deserved an injury after posting these photos in GQ magazine, which is why God gave him a high ankle sprain in week 2, the week that issue came out, which pretty much ended their hopes of contending in 2020. Duh, Bears. Worst? Benching Mitch Trubisky for Nick Foles. Best? Benching Mitch Trubisky for Nick Foles actually working and propelling Trubisky to a career renaissance. Possibly. Bengals, worst? putting no resources into the offensive line and watching their rookie quarterback get his knee destroyed as a result. Best, modern medical science will heal Joe Burrow. And if Ryan Finley can lead you to a smiling victory over the Steelers, there is hope the Bungles can succeed with a good offensive line. Also, Von Bell putting an end to the Juju TikToks by click-clocking him on the logo. Browns, best, hiring Kevin Stefanski. It was the right move that made an immediate difference and helped propel this team to a winning record and possible playoff spot depending on this weekend's outcome. Worst, some woman nobody should listen to making us all think Odell Beckham Jr. likes having a Brown dropped right on his chest.
You can keep it.
The NFL not rescheduling an incredibly important game for the Browns against the Jets and making them play without any starting caliber receivers, then the Browns forgetting to run the football with the best 1-2 combo in the league and losing to the Jets in very Browns-like fashion as the officials can't rule a fumble on 4th and 1 properly. Dallas Cowboys worst, Dak Prescott's broken foot. Honestly, if Dak stayed healthy and kept playing the way he did, he might have been in the MVP conversation. Well, probably not, because it was hindsight that we were able to see how Dak was carrying that entire team, even with the losing record at the time. Best, defensive coordinator Mike Nolan getting hot sauce in his eyes.
Just had some Tabasco on my finger and it went in my eye. That wasn't good.
Broncos, best, having to start Kendall Hinton, a practice squad wide receiver at quarterback with less than 24 hours notice, because it got the Broncos a little more representation in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Worst, losing Von Miller a couple days before the first game of the season, forcing me to react like this. No.
I think God is dead!
No. Best, Scooter Elway, of course.
Johnny John.
Lions, best, firing Matt Patricia. All you have to know about this man is that he keeps a pencil in his ear, but uses a laminated play sheet. The Lions had to use their wide receivers coach as a head coach in week 16, and they were still better off than having Matt Patricia. Also, fat Matthew Stafford, who may finally get out of Detroit. Worst, Frank Ragnow fractured his throat against the Packers. If I get a sore throat, I don't make a video for a week. Frank Ragnow fractured his throat and played through it without giving up a pressure or a sack. Packers best, me wildly, accurately predicting Aaron Rodgers to win MVP before the season started. Another prediction, Aaron Rodgers wins his 3rd MVP. I also predicted all of Derrick Henry's stiff arms. Derrick Henry rushes for 1,999 yards and sets the record for most stiff arms in a season. The Browns playoff appearance, possibly. The Cleveland Browns make the playoffs. Last year, the Browns were too hyped, too cocky, and the damn Bills having fans in the stadium. Sean McDermott is caught bribing Andrew Cuomo to let the Bills bring fans into the stadium. And I don't mean with money. Worst, Rodgers doing this and then immediately having his ass handed to him by Tom Brady. Houston Texans, worst, anything Bill O'Brien did. Best, not letting Bill O'Brien hurt them anymore. Just tell me where the bad man ruined your franchise. Show me on this doll where Bill traded you. Colts, best, Julian Blackmon becoming the best Julian in the NFL and having a defensive rookie of the year caliber season. Best punter, Rigoberto Sanchez, returning to the field less than 3 weeks after having a cancerous tumor surgically removed. Worst, science may be able to help many beat cancer, but there's no cure for the Phillip Rivers costly 4th quarter pick. Jaguars, best, clinching the 1st overall pick and having the right to draft Trevor Lawrence. Worst, being bad enough to clinch the 1st overall pick and draft Trevor Lawrence. And this includes benching Gardner Minshew, because everyone was looking at the Jags and thinking, yeah, this guy's the problem. Chiefs, worst, losing to the Raiders to ruin what could have been an undefeated season. Best, obviously winning the Super Bowl, but for me personally, it was tricking the Raiders into thinking they were good. Also, Andy Reid knowing week 1 the face shield would be the smart play for a head coach, but not knowing it would fog up like that car in Titanic. Raiders, best, not being the first team to lose to the Jets, and also beating the Chiefs. Worst, decapitating Ryan Fitzpatrick and still letting him torch their defense and cast a Fitzmagic spell to end their season. Chargers, best, those uniforms with the yellow pants. Have mercy. And drafting Justin Herbert because he fell to you instead of Tua. And Forrest Lamp's lamp endorsement giving us one of the most iconic photos in NFL folklore. Worst, needing a team doctor to stab Tyrod Taylor in the lungs just to realize Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than him. Rams, worst, sticking with this new logo even after the greatest player in your franchise's history said it looked like a penis. Best, knowing Eric Dickerson's penis looks just like this. Maybe Jalen Ramsey fighting Golden Tate because Ramsey knocked up Golden Tate's sister and then left her for another woman just like Tom Brady did back in the day. Wait, is Jalen Ramsey about to win 6 Super Bowls? Dolphins, best, Fitzception, the greatest no-look pass in NFL history to eliminate the Raiders from postseason contention. Ryan Fitzpatrick admitted he was taking a pee break when Flores decided to put him in the game. Between him and Lamar Jackson, I think all quarterbacks should go to the bathroom mid-game because when you come back, you do amazing things. Worst, watching Ryan Fitzmagic nearly cry after getting benched for Tua.
My heart just hurt all day.
Vikings, best, somehow not losing the Stephon Diggs trade by drafting Justin Jefferson. Also, somehow not losing the Yannick Ngakoue trade. Worst, somehow losing too many damn games. Your defense is so bad that you let Alvin Kamara score 36 points against you on Jesus' birthday. At least everyone knows what the Griddy is now. The study of the y-axis on grids. Patriots, best, missing the playoffs for the first time since Matt Castle led the team to 11 wins, and seeing Bill Belichick envious of other coaches for the first time since he was with the Browns. Showing a shred of humanity, Bill? Yuck. Worst, Cam Newton trying to resurrect his career with skill players even Aaron Rodgers would struggle to make look good. Although I think Bill Belichick might have more juice in his arm than Cam does at this point. Saints, best, Alvin Kamara scoring 6 rushing touchdowns on Christmas. I honestly didn't think we'd ever see that happen again in a pass-dominant NFL. I mean, Derrick Henry rushed for over 200 yards twice this season and only had 2 touchdowns in those games. Worst, Drew Brees breaking all of his ribs and puncturing his lungs and watching his passing touchdown lead over Tom Brady disappear. Giants, best, hiring crazy Joe Judge and learning that Daniel Jones is faster than Tyreek Hill. Worst, Daniel Jones running so fast that he falls down against the Eagles without scoring. It basically served as a metaphor for the Giants season. Just when it looked like they were finding their legs with Joe Judge, Daniel Jones loses his. Honorable mention, Saquon Barkley tearing his ACL in Week 2, a part of the famous Week 2 massacre of talent that took Run CMC, Cortland Sutton, Nick Bosa, and of course Saquon. Jets, worst? Everything? Even your win was wrong. How dare you? How dare you let Adam Gase get away with not being one of 3 completely defeated coaches to lose 16 games in a season? Best, seeing Greg Williams get fired after calling the worst defensive play of the entire season, nay, in NFL history against the Raiders. What do they call this play? Rug burn. Eagles, best, finding what looks like their new quarterback in Jalen Hurts. They spent a second-round draft pick on him. People immediately questioned it, but it was a perfect fail-safe for when Carson Wentz started to lose it. Worst, Carson Wentz pulling a reverse Josh Allen and suffering the worst quarterback regression I have ever seen. Steelers, best, the 11-0 start, obviously, but that's a collective of many moments. Many wins against bad teams. I'd like to say my appearance on Sports Ball for the Broncos Steelers recap. but that's pretty narcissistic. So I will go with Chase Claypool scoring 4 touchdowns in one game against the Eagles. Worst, losing to the Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow on Monday Night Football, proving that you were indeed the worst 11-0 football team of all time. 49ers, best? For some ungodly reason, you swept the Rams and had George Kittle admitting that he fucking loves the Bears.
I grew up a Bears fan.
Go Bears! I fucking love the Bears.
It's definitely not a good sign when your best moment is your best player talking about how much he loves another team. Like when I have to buy my wife's boyfriend a Christmas present. Worst, getting absolutely screwed by injuries at MetLife Stadium. Honorable mention, Jimmy Garoppolo throwing a closed eyes interception to end the Super Bowl. Seahawks best, DK Metcalf chasing down Buda Baker to save a touchdown against the Cardinals in a key game. Worst, the Seahawks' actual defense not being able to chase down anyone to save a touchdown. Buccaneers best, beating the Green Bay Packers 38-10 while Tom Brady only threw for 166 yards, proving Tom can still beat teams by 28 points while doing nothing and getting called the GOAT. Worst, senile Tom Brady can't remember 4th down against the Bears as they lose. Some might even call that a best. Titans best, Derrick Henry stiff arms. Derrick Henry stiff arms and Derrick Henry's stiff arm. Worst, the Titans defense. More specifically, losing to the Packers week 16, 40-14 in the snow, and showing that you will probably lose in the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion. Washington football team. There's 2 bests for this club, which is 2 more than Dan Snyder deserves. Ron Rivera beating cancer into submission, the same submission we feel watching the AFC East all year. Another best, Alex Smith, not just returning to the field after nearly dying and having 17 leg surgeries, but leading the team to a 4-1 record, making them contenders in the worst division we've ever witnessed. Worst, naming themselves the football team. And now thinking that should be the permanent name. Maybe they should call themselves the Haskins Maskless Strippers. Or other. Yeah, or other. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Best and worst moment for every NFL team. I hope you have a better 2021. Happy New Year. And watch the video on the screen so YouTube jerks off my algorithm.